My results are ENTP, and my celebrity is Tom Hanks.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Miss Nicole.
I did my test years ago on the ESTJ, but I'm just listening for my son.
Okay. Thank you for that. Philip?
Something positive. I got the 50 from the last raffle.
There it is.
Yeah, there we go. Congratulations again.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
Okay, Layla.
I mean,
Hi,
nothing
Kaden.
really happened.
What's something positive that's happened? You've been getting some quality time with your cat? Layla?
Not really.
Not really? Okay. All right, Kaden, can you tell me something positive that's happened to you during this pandemic?
I've gotten to practice a lot of my dancing, and I've gotten a lot better since my last class at the studio.
That's good. That's good. That is exciting. And I don't know, Philip, can Matthew talk on his desktop?
Phones.
You should be
There's a
able
mic
to.
on it.
Yeah, he's gone.
Matt, if you can talk, could you give me something positive that has happened during the pandemic? I don't know. Maybe not.
Muted, so.
Okay, you can mute him back. I don't know what's going on there.
Is she safe?
Okay, so we're gonna start off with prayer, and then after prayer, we're gonna have our opening video of our speaker, and then I'm going to introduce her, and we're gonna get started. So, Ariana, if you could start us off in prayer, please.
Lord, I thank you for this day. I thank you for everything you've given us. I pray for all that's going on in the world. Pray that you will be with those who lost loved ones or know people affected, Lord. I pray for those affected that your hand of protection will be over them, Lord. I thank you for this opportunity for us to come together and meet, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. So we're gonna cue the video. I think that's my dad.
Seasons. It's one of the words that always stuck with me when I knew there was about to be growth in my life and within myself. I always wanted to understand what each season meant and why I had to go through them. With each season came a set of emotions that most of the time I couldn't understand. These emotions left me feeling pretty alone. I never want you to feel like you're going through your seasons alone, or that your situation is unrelatable. I can almost guarantee you it's not. This podcast is a place for you to unwind and gain understanding as I share real life experiences and advice to help walk you through each transition in your life with hope, faith, and confidence. There are so many unexplainable things that happen to us every day in life, but one thing I do know is that seasons teach us the one constant in life is change. My hope is that we can get through this journey called life together. It's not going to be easy, but what great thing ever is. Join me this spring as I launch the Seasons podcast. Let's season together.
Yes, so that is our guest for today. Her name is London Cashmere. She is originally from North Carolina, and now she lives in a big city, New York City. And that is where she is a social media coordinator of a hair company there. And she is also the host and creator of her own podcast titled Seasons, where she encourages growth, she gives advice, and much more. So if you guys would please give up your clapping hand emojis for London Cashmere. Hey, London.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Good. I hope you guys are doing well and staying healthy.
Good. Are you enjoying this week being quarantined in New York City? How's that going?
Yeah, so I've been able to really gratefully work from home. So I'm able to, thanks to technology, I'm able to do my job from the comfort of my home and also record my podcast from my home as well. So it's been an adjustment not being able to socialize, but it's been nice to have this time to focus on some things that I didn't have time to do.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so we're just going to jump into the questions. So the first question is, how has your relationship with Christ influenced your decision to start a business or to start your podcast?
Yeah, so I think when you're connected to God and you really follow the purpose that He's placed in your heart, it really allows not only your talents to be used in a positive way, but just it allows your gifts to really shine through in whatever you do. So knowing your purpose really starts with knowing who you are in Christ. And then once you know that, and that's not something if it does happen in one day, amazing. But if it doesn't, it's something that you learn. It takes years to really learn, what you want out of life and what your purpose is. But starting with God is really helpful.
Yes, I agree. So could you talk about some of your passions? What are you passionate about? What moves you?
Yeah, so I've always loved fashion, and I've always loved fashion industry and the beauty industry. And I've always wanted to find a way to make that my job. And so once I knew that that's what I was interested in, I started trying to figure out how I can make money off of it.
That's good. So as it pertains to the Myers-Briggs, I know you took that test. Do you have your results? Or could you talk about how your personality plays a role in the type of business that you're in?
Yeah, so I think I'm an ENFJ. And so I am an extrovert. And so I do think that being an extrovert and being a people person has helped some of the opportunities that have opened up for me, but also just me being able to understand what jobs suit me best. But I will say that you can totally be an introvert and or an extrovert and be completely successful in what you would probably view as an extroverted job. So whether that be a podcast or whether that be something in the fashion industry, it really doesn't really matter if you consider yourself an introvert. You may be an introvert at home and then an amazing extrovert at your job, and then be able to cut it off and turn it on depending on what you're able to do. So yeah, it's helped me, but I won't say that I don't know a whole lot of introverts that are also amazing at what they do, and they do the same thing as me. So
That's good. So, has there ever been a time in your life where you felt proud of a certain accomplishment?
there's definitely been a few different accomplishments that I've been pretty proud of. But I will say that um, my podcast is definitely one of them. But even before that, just being able to go through college and put myself through college, because I didn't go on a full ride. I didn't have a lot of financial help. I worked 3 jobs and 2 internships while I was in school, all while taking full-time courses. So it wasn't easy. So being able to graduate while still having bills to pay and having multiple jobs and internships was something that I'm really proud of. And I didn't do it in a traditional route. It didn't take me 4 years. It took me almost 5.5 years to finish. But that's okay too, because I wasn't in a rush, but I finished.
Yes, and that's good. Okay, so have there ever been times when someone has noticed that you were especially good or talented in a certain area?
So I've always been complimented, I guess you could say, about my voice. And I never knew, I guess I didn't know today, or I didn't know then, that it would eventually lead to this. And I haven't always wanted to have a podcast. I thought I wanted to work in radio. And so I interned and worked also part-time at a radio station while I was in school. And so I think that really helped me figure out, okay, I worked here, but do I want to do this for a full-time job? Maybe, maybe not. And at the time, they didn't have any positions open for me. So I was like, well, how do I incorporate something that I'm pretty interested in while I have another job? And so the podcast was kind of my way to kind of create something for myself while still working my full-time job.
That's good. That was your outlet. That's good.
Yeah, it's my outlet.
So, in what area of your business have you used your gifts?
So definitely it takes communication skills, right, to prepare every week for a podcast. So right now, the format of the show, I don't have a co-host. So usually it's pretty, it's a lot more simple to have a podcast when you have another person or you have multiple people, because you can bounce your ideas and you can bounce your conversation off another person. But for me, I really have to prepare and plan and make sure that I'm able to communicate in a way where it seems like I'm not just, talking to myself, but it seems like I'm talking to my audience. So it really, I took a lot of like broadcast writing courses while I was in school. So being able to kind of know how to talk to people and make it seem and come off very natural has always been something I've been pretty skilled at. Now, if you ask me to do a math problem, you will not get the results you want. But if you ask me to write a paper or a response or public speak, I'll probably be a little better at that. But again, that was just my way of taking what I knew I could do and going that direction.
That's good. That's good. And that's really important to know your strengths and know where not to go. So that's
exactly.
So can you name or remember any pivotal moments that changed your life or gave you a new perspective on your outlook?
It would probably be just not graduating when I thought I would graduate. There was a catch-22 with that, right? So me not graduating in the traditional 4 years, which is becoming a lot harder. So I had to kind of let go of my pride and ego and like urgency with that and realize, you know what, I'm going to get this done, but me putting pressure on myself to just do it in this perfect traditional way may not be what I'm supposed to be doing. So once I let go of that idea, I was able to use the extra time that I was in school to take on multiple internships and part-time jobs. And I didn't just do that because I loved to work multiple jobs, but I did that so I would really understand what I wanted to do. So although I didn't graduate quickly, I had the time to figure out what I wanted to do and then actually go do it. And I was a little bit more prepared because I didn't graduate when I wanted to graduate. So that's just kind of a way that like the situation didn't turn out the way I wanted, but I think it was best it didn't turn out the way I wanted.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so could you talk about some of your short-term goals for your podcast?
Yeah, so every week when I'm preparing the podcast, my prayer is that whatever I'm saying or whatever I'm trying to relay to the audience is just going to be beneficial. They can take at least one thing from the podcast and it can help them, whether they have to listen to it multiple times or not. Really the goal is to be a voice and to be someone that can relay topics and talk about things that everybody deals with, but feel understood and feel like if they listen to this, they're not alone in whatever they're going through. So that's really the main goal. Eventually, I want to get it to a place where I'm making I have sponsorships and there's advertisements because that's where the money comes from. But right now I'm just enjoying the process and I'm not really rushing the results.
That's good. That's good. And so the last question is, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit more about your vision for your company. I know you just touched on the sponsorship. And then where do you see your business in the next 5 years or your podcast in the next 5 years?
5 years, I would love it to be one of the incomes I depend on. Right now, like I said earlier, it's just it's an outlet and something that I'm using as a tool to kind of be a voice for people. But eventually I want it to be one of my sources of income that I depend on. Like, say I want to leave my job and completely take that jump into entrepreneurship. I want to be in a comfortable place, but until then, I'm not going to just jump ship on my full-time job that's, allowing me to pay my bills, but you have to start somewhere.
Yes, and that's really important to make sure that we have a plan and that we don't just jump from one thing to another. So I love that you said that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to open it up for anyone of you guys out there that have questions. You can unmute yourself and ask questions, or you can type something in the chat. That's up to you. Don't all talk at once. Any questions?
All right, well, if no one else is gonna go, I saw your podcast and I noticed you started before the whole quarantine COVID-19 thing happened.
Yeah.
So I know, but one of your episodes you do talk about staying positive while social distancing, and I was wondering the jump between or the adjustment between that?
Hmm.
Like, did you already have a plan of what you were going to talk about before COVID-19 happened, or?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I have been planning this podcast for almost a year. So it took, me being in the right space and in the right, really prepared to do it, because I knew that once I started, I didn't want to, number one, let myself down, but let anybody else down to like start something and then not finish and like be consistent. So although I had the idea for a year that I wanted to do it, I had to really be in the right space to know and commit to myself to do it consistently. So it literally just so happens that the timing of it kind of lined up with people being at home and being able to have the time to listen to a podcast. So with something that I learned through my current job, my social media job, is that you might have a plan for something, but social media changes every minute, right? So I knew that I'm in a media platform and I needed to adjust to something people could relate to right then and there. So while I had plans to talk about other things, I can still talk about other things, but I knew in that moment I needed to talk about something that people could relate to in that moment. And that is one of my most successful and listened to podcasts, because I feel like it was reaching people that were dealing with that right then and there, and still are, right? So good question.
That's good.
Tamira asked, looking back, would you change anything?
Change anything? I would say, a lot of people say, oh, I have no regrets, or, oh, I wouldn't change anything. And I'm not one of those people, because I always feel like there could have been something different about probably all of the decisions I make. But one thing I would change is when I was working 3 jobs, now I kind of realize, oh, wow, real life, there's a lot more bills to pay. When I was living at my parents' house, or when I was in college, I felt like I had bills to pay, but I feel like I should have saved a lot more money while I had the opportunity to. So that's something I would change, because you can never be too prepared.
That's good. And we have another question from Kaden. She wants to know what it's like to live in New York. And she's from here, so I guess you can kind of like compare and contrast.
Yeah, so New York is a different world. I will say that North Carolina is very homey and very family oriented and very, there's a lot of people that work in North Carolina and they start with the company and they want to retire there. Here in New York, people are here basically to work from all around the country and the world. So the mentality is not very like family oriented. It's more like you're here to work. Nobody's worried about you. You're here to fend for yourself and you got to figure it out. You don't have time to figure it out. So it really took adjusting to all of the people that live here. It's very expensive, but there's so much opportunity here and I wouldn't change being here. It's not somewhere that I always hope to be honest with you. It's somewhere where God led me. And I do think I needed to be here, because they say if you can live in New York, if you can survive in New York, you can survive anywhere. And I believe that now. So I do think I needed to be here, but it wasn't a place where I was like, oh my gosh, I have to live in New York. It just, the opportunity opened up. So there's a lot of changes that happened, a lot of things to get used to. Like I miss just being able to get in a car and drive by myself. I don't have a car here. Most people don't. The way you communicate, or the way you
Commute.
places, you're packed in a subway. It's not as glamorous as people think. It's very resourceful here.
Okay, I just got a text from one of our members that's watching on YouTube Live. She had a question.
Oh,
She
cool.
asked, how did you get into fashion, and how is this helping your podcast?
Fashion and the podcast. So fashion, I started when I was in high school. So I knew that it was a passion of mine, and it still is. When I knew I first was interested in it, I started a blog because it was a free and way that I could create a portfolio and create work for myself from home. So I started a blog, and then I started getting used to posting on social media. Then once I gained a following on social media, I realized, oh, wow, you can actually get paid from doing really good social media work. So I started partnering with brands, like fashion brands, to post on my social media and get paid. But first, it took me years doing stuff for free, doing stuff just on my own blog without getting noticed, to get to a place where I was actually making money. So once I went to school for fashion marketing, and I got a minor in broadcasting. So that's kind of how I ended up where I'm at. But I just found that like broadcasting, both broadcasting and fashion are very competitive fields. So I just kind of combine the two to kind of make my own little way for myself.
That's good. That's good. Someone messaged me, Kaden, you got a question?
Yes. So one of my dreams is moving to New York and becoming an actress. So I wanted to know, what do you think is the best way of like trying to get that career started?
Yeah. So, are you doing anything now that would kind of lead you in that direction? If not, that's totally fine.
Not yet. I'm trying to figure out how, but it's kind of hard to start an acting career in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's hard, but also I have done things in Charlotte, and Charlotte's actually a really great place to start, because there are connections there. It is small, and it seems like, oh my gosh, I can't be seen here. But there are definitely ways you can start right from the comfort of your own home. Really, it's as simple as Googling how to become an actress, right? So there are different things that you just like basic standard things that you need, that are free resources that you can use. It could be as simple as printing off a script and practicing it back and forth with your mom and dad. Just getting comfortable and really just feeling comfortable doing what you want to do is a great place to start. And then once you feel comfortable, you have the confidence to start connecting and having your mom and dad help you put yourself out there. What I will say is that move to New York and you have nothing to start with, like say you didn't start in Charlotte from humble beginnings, you're going to come to New York and they're going to say, well, what did you do first? Right? And when you say, well, I haven't started because I lived in Charlotte, they're going to say, well, come back when you have something to start with. So it's very possible and very, I won't say it's easy because trust me, I've been there, but I say start very small, start anyway, like I said, whether it's printing off a script, practicing it back and forth. Once you feel comfortable, start recording yourself. You got to build yourself up first. Then you can tell people, hey, I'm an amazing actress, book me.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you for that, London.
You're welcome.
I don't know if Kaden's trying to say something. She's muted, so I don't think so. Okay, so is that all the questions? Is everybody good?
I will say I feel really old seeing Ariana and Kaden. Wow. Ariana, how old are you?
I'm 15 now.
15. I think I met you when you were 3.
Probably.
And then Kaden, I think, how old are you?
I'm 11.
I met you when you were 2. This is insane, guys.
Okay, we had another question come in. What is your major obstacle that you had to overcome?
Outside of what I said earlier about graduating, I will say that transitioning by myself from living in my 1-bedroom apartment in Greensboro for $600 a month with like a patio and space and a place to kind of like have as my own and live by myself. That was like my first place that I like fully furnished, and like I just felt like I was like really balling. Then I moved to New York and realized I had to like live all the way out in Brooklyn with like 4 roommates just to live. Like I will tell you, I live in Brooklyn. I don't even live in the city. And I have, well, now I have 4 of us total. We live in a 4-bedroom, and altogether our rent is $5,000. And we live in an apartment. We live in an apartment with 2 bathrooms, and a closet was a privilege here.
Oh my goodness.
So, and I don't say that to make it seem like we're bawling, because I promise you we are not. But just in comparison, especially you, Kaden, that wants to move to New York, the times of living by myself and enjoying peace and quiet alone are few and far between and very expensive.
Wow.
I mean, I could be on the lake in a mansion right now, like with one.
For how much you've been paying, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So we have another question. What motivates you?
I guess just making myself proud. I will say a lot of us get wrapped up in what other people think, and I've been there. It's still a journey. I do still care about what other people think, but I find that when I do what literally makes me happy and gives me joy, then all the rest comes with it. Like I started everything I've done from working for free. But I did what I did so much that I worked for free, but all of those opportunities that I worked for free either always turned into paid opportunities or always opened a door so that I had a job. Every single job that I've had has been because I worked for free at some point.
That's good. The next question is, who are your role models?
I always grew up, sorry, Pastor Lawrence, I always grew up watching like 106 in Park, and like, I don't even know if you like 15-year-olds know what that is. I'm embarrassed.
Oh yeah, they probably don't. Oh.
And just like MTV, like I just loved the idea of like talking to celebrities back and forth, and like I loved the idea of hosting and like red carpets, and like that was just so cool to me, and like behind the scenes stuff. I love that stuff. So I do have a few different role models. A few of them are like co-host of The Real. I don't know if you guys know that talk show, but I love like any talk show host that's like doing other things for themselves. I love what people are able to do through like talk shows and stuff.
That's good. The next question is, do you have a mentor that's in this industry?
So I don't currently, but I did I did when I was in college. So my school had a program where if you were looking for a mentor, they not only paired you with a mentor in your industry, they paired you with somebody that could help you get an internship. So I applied for that, and I got paired with a woman right there in Greensboro. She was the co-owner of a production company, and through her, she was able to kind of, she didn't pave the way for me or anything like that, but she was a resource that I had. She was very well connected in the community. So although she wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do, I kind of had to prove myself to her. And then she kind of told me, oh, I actually have connections there. But she didn't tell me that up front. I had to kind of prove to her that I was serious about what I wanted to do. But it's really as simple as like before I found her, it's really as simple as just emailing somebody like, hey, I see there's an internship for this here. I don't really meet the criteria, like maybe you're not in school yet, or maybe because like some internships, they want you to be a senior in college or whatever. Hey, I don't meet this requirement, but could you mentor me? Can I chat with you on the phone once a week to kind of lead me in the direction so that when I'm old enough or when I meet the requirements, I can actually get an internship like this, or I can actually get a job like this. I know for so many years, I was so scared to even ask people for help, but I promise you, like, it's just the way you word it. Like if you say, hey, I see that you're a director. I want to be an actress. Book me for a job. That might not be the best way to talk to somebody. But if you say, hey, I would love to take this industry seriously. Can you help me? Talk to me once a week. I can share with you what I'm interested in. You can share with me what it takes to get there. I can come back to you in a few months after I've done the work first, show that I can do it, come back to them in 6 months and say, hey, this is what I've done. What can we talk about now? Like, it's really just like having the confidence in yourself to know, hey, I'm super great at numbers. I'm amazing. I can be a accountant, I can be an architect, but I can't do it by myself. Nobody can do anything by themselves. Like anything that leads to success, you definitely need God and you need other people's help. But it's kind of how you approach it.
That's good. That's good. I think that's all of the questions.
Well, great questions.
Yes. Thank you so much, London. I
You're
really appreciate you coming here and talking with me and answering our questions. Yes, thank you.
Thanks to all of you guys for listening to me go on and on. I hope it was helpful.
Yes, it was definitely helpful, even for me personally. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So now I'm gonna change the visual to my dad, and he's going to ask you guys some survey style questions just to get a feel for how you've been enjoying this series.
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to again say thank you, London. And I just think a lot of what you shared was really, really helpful. And I hope everybody was really leaning in because the perspective that she has is tremendous. One of the things I found real interesting is she talks about how old she feels looking at you guys. I remember when she was in our ministry and how she's grown. So how do I feel?
Yeah.
Life is awesome, and we're really proud of you and everything you're doing. I just want you to know
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing that. And so with that, you guys have been really blessed and fortunate. So we've had now, this is week 3. We've had a number of folks who have talked about their journey, where they have progressed and experiences they've learned from. And so I just wanted to take a minute and talk to you guys about your journey. One of the things I want to share, hopefully everyone got this from me in email today. I'm just looking to see if I got any heads going like this, maybe. Yes, no, yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, I got a thumbs up. That's good. Cool. Well, hopefully you have had a chance to look at it. I want to encourage you to come back to it over time. And again, if you reflect on these different sessions, which are online, you can listen to the questions we've been asking. We've been using this model because we believe that this will really be a great tool for you to help understand, how God designed you and maybe what you should be looking at next in your life, your foundations, your personality, your gifts, some pivotal moments, things you're passionate about will lead to hopefully some themes, goals, and visions. And I think if you take the time to really think through this and pray about this, it'll give you a tremendous head start, because most people unfortunately just kind of live life and as an experiment. But I believe you guys were designed for a purpose. And so if we can understand what that purpose is and start moving in that direction, you're just going to be that much better down the road. So with that, I want to ask you guys some questions. So you've heard us ask these questions, talk to folks that are doing it. We've been laying some foundations, but how's it been working for you guys? Have you guys found this to be helpful? Have you been able to use some of this to start understanding your purpose? I want to just share and go around and ask you guys to weigh in and see what your thoughts are there. Who wants to go first? I'm gonna start with Philip. I see your wall.
Dang.
There you
I was
go.
hoping you were gonna go for Ari first. I'd say, especially since I've already started DJing, the most useful person, the most helpful person was the one that was here last week. The one that was doing photography.
How so? What was helpful?
Well, remember the question I asked about how she figured out like how she would get paid, like her adjustment from her worth and stuff.
So you about that money? I understand.
Yeah. So that was helpful because because I don't really have a really good idea on how I should get paid. So her advice on the equipment I have and how well I do what I do, that's it for me.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Good. Miss Caden, what do you think?
I enjoyed it a lot. I think Miss London helped a lot because she's kind of doing what I plan to do. So whenever she shared everything and answered all the questions, it really helped me figure out how I'm going to plan out my career and how I'm going to get there, what I need to do to get there. She helped, like tremendously.
And you still want to live in New York City after what she told you?
Yes, it actually made me want to live in New York City more than I did before.
Love that.
Lord.
Hey.
Is your mom around? Mute.
That's amazing.
Awesome. All right. Okay. Layla, you with us? Layla. Philip, go yell at your sister. While we're getting Layla back on the phone, we'll hey Tamira, how about you?
I think this has been very helpful, and it's been nice to see all the different viewpoints and all the different businesses.
Good. Yeah. Having a variety of different folks. Sometimes you hear one story and quite honestly, you see somebody who's really doing really well, you know, somebody like London who's got just some all this awesome stuff going on. And you might say, oh man, can I do it? And having different perspectives hopefully shows you that there's different paths, right? And there's different steps you can take. So that's good. I like that. Good feedback. All right. Layla, you with us again?
I'm here.
Like, you're making me concerned. Are you practicing your assassination like skills? I mean, you were kind of in the dark there. Hey, we're just asking what you thought about these series. One thing maybe you took away from the things that were shared.
It's definitely gonna be useful for points of things that I should be able to use when I do plan to own a business one day.
Good. Perfect. Okay. Make it happen. All right.
Incognito.
Whether we can see you or not, we believe you're gonna make it happen. That's awesome. All right. Just Nicole, how about you guys on that end?
Well, I was just trying to get my son just to kind of get involved in hopes of getting him to come to church. So I thought if he was on here and got to see some of the pretty ladies, that might motivate him. But also, I think it's been good because I like to see young people encouraged to try to have some type of business, not just work for them, work for someone else. I'm a business owner and I've been a business owner since 2004. So it's just kind of neat to see the perspective of a younger mind. And I've actually gained some information too as well, just listening to them. I like hearing, their perspective and what motivates them and how they decided when to go into business. Because I've just been in business since 2004, and I had ideas when I was younger, but I did not pursue them. So it's interesting to see what fire was burning inside them that made them go forth at such a young age. I find it very intriguing, and I admire these all three of the speakers. And I really admire Miss London for tackling New York. I went there in 8th grade in middle school, and if I never go back, I'm good.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. I usually tell people New York's a great place to be from. And as I got older, those bills started hitting me. I was like, I gotta get out of here. So London, my hat off to you.
And I really appreciated London when she said that one thing she appreciated was living in her parents' house and not really understanding what bills was until she got out on her own. I was shaking my head on that because I've been that right now to my 19-year-old. And I'm glad that you recognize, you know, the sacrifices that your parents made and that you understand now the value of a dollar and saving money. Because right now during this pandemic, it's a lot of people that are not in a good place financially. So it's a good idea to always have some type of nest egg put up, and you can start young, putting away some money. And one thing I will say is if you put $100 in an IRA every month, by the time you retire, you will have $1 million if you start that when you're 18 years old. And somebody told me that when I was 18 years old, just doing that, $100 a month, invest in yourself, you'll have $1 million. So not just about earning your money, but you also need to be responsible with saving your money as well. And I'm glad that at a young age, you have already figured that much out. But hats off to you again, lady, for staying in New York and being able to
Thank
stay.
you. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. All right.
Don't skip your daughter.
Riri.
I had to say something. You just had
Under
to.
the bus. She's like, beep, 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 beep. Under the bus. Go ahead, girl.
I guess I remember last episode there was something Jamie said about finding your, like, trying different things and finding your passion, because it may not come right away. You know, it's exploring what road you want to take. And then with London when she was answering Caden's question about, you know, starting small and just reaching out and going, asking for help and just being passionate and going for it. I think that's probably the best advice.
Next to what you heard from your dad in the past. I get it. I understand. All right, I'm gonna keep moving before.
Don't put words in my mouth.
No, but honestly, those points I think are critical, and I do seriously want everyone, when you get a chance, go back, listen to all of the speakers, because they've all dropped some significant nuggets. And one of the things I love about them is, you know, they've come from where you are literally and have experienced some of these things. We're going to be talking in our Thursday night session about wisdom and consequences. And one of the things I can tell you about wisdom is, man, you can learn so much. You can grow so fast from listening to others and extracting some of their insights. So you don't have to necessarily go through all of those steps, learn everything the hard way. So lots of great insights. I pray that everyone is really dialing into that, pulling in and applying it, and looking to get better as you go. So with that, this brings our series to a close. And I would ask if you guys felt like this was beneficial, you want to do more of this or the like, make sure you text in to the text number, let us know, give us some feedback, because we're at a point now, we wanted to try it for 3 weeks and just see what sort of impact it would have, and is it of value? Is it something we should try again or just do something else? So let us know. And as a team, we'll be discussing, praying about that. And again, London, thank you so much again.
Yes, let's blast her information up so everybody can see.
Oh yeah, you want me to share? I think we have this for you.
Yes, so you guys can find her on Instagram, on Facebook. Nobody really is on Facebook, but Instagram, London Cashmere. You can find her podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple, called Seasons. And I know she shared with us before that she's open to talking to you guys outside of this. If you have any more questions, just hit her up.
Totally.
Yay.
Thank you so much, London. This was
You're
great.
welcome.
Fun.
I hope it helped.
Yes, it definitely did.
Awesome.
All right. Well, good night, everyone. God bless.
Bye, guys.
Stay safe.
Good night.
Thanks, London.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You're welcome.
Thank you.